Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Payoff pitch presented by Fantasy Phenom 519 edition. Damn, it's already almost the end of May. I'm Kyle. Mike will not be here today. However, he will be doing a Facebook Live kind of lead into lock show today. So, for those of you that want to get some closer to lock news, all the lineups will be out by then. Mike will give you his final thoughts there, but this show kind of gives you guys some time to adjust your lines. So obviously you guys saw the Excel video last night explaining how to use all of these sheets, what they present and what they offer. Sure enough, upon your guys' request, we've already added a couple new things. So on the screen here, I love it, man. Yeah, the Slack group was filled with boy band talk today, man. We were debating the Boys to Men. I guess some group called like Pink Roses, something like that. Just kidding. Pink Floyd, Guns N' Roses. So on the screen here, guys, you see we've kind of colorized and sorted these Vegas totals. So the opening line, the closing line so far, obviously that'll keep updating throughout the day. And the percent change. So this is a very simple formula of, close minus open divided by open. And then to the right here, you have your 5 highest implied totals. Just another tool to help you guys. What's up, Dewey? What's up, John? Both Keiths. So just another way to kind of help pick your stacks. Find the teams that Vegas thinks are the highest. And then, of course, the teams that are getting the most run movement, they really, really help. We know how much Vegas knows about stats. So we got the Milwaukee-Chicago game already going on. We have Toronto and Baltimore. So 14-game main slate. I love it, Keith. I love it. Keith was all over. Sheets are... We got to adjust these sheets a little bit. Cutting off the screen here. Keith was all over the weather report yesterday for the KC game. And he was spot on with Duffy. So, shout out to Keith. But... we shall adjust. Not hard. Bam. There's that. Yo, Keith is our new weatherman. I don't know. I guess there's some guy named Kevin Roth, but I don't think he has anything on Keith. So if you guys need weather news, Keith is the new weatherman. Kevin Roth is now irrelevant. JK. No shade thrown. All right, sheet should be good to go. You guys should be able to see everything. I'll be giving my weather in Slack before. I love it. Once Keith wins enough money, he's going to go back to school and get his meteorology degree, apparently. So that's his end goal. Yo, what's up, Terry? Terry's been watching this since the swirl, man. I love you guys, man. I love you. Roth, what is a Roth? I think that's a retirement account. Roth? Hold on 1 second. I just want to make sure we have all these lineups in, because I know this Baltimore lineup is in. At least it should be. It is not. Wow, okay. I was wrong. I guess I'm wrong every now and then. I can't be like Keith and be right about the weather all the time. All right, so Toronto and Baltimore. If you guys played Marcus Stroman yesterday, you were sitting pretty. Hell of a game. I'm surprised they didn't let him go the full 6 and get that quality start, but whatever. No fight happened, so, all those lies were not true. If you had a Toronto stack, you were looking good, man. I know we talked about Kendry Morales as the pivot yesterday. When Justin Smoke was out, nobody was on Morales. Everybody was on Bellinger. And that was two separate tales, I guess you could say there. Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. I didn't see that you were trying to sign up, my friend. Yeah, in the description right below, buddy, there's that link. You get that 7-day free trial. We'll get you hooked up with all these sheets, all that information, my friend. So that fight didn't happen, but Kendrys Morales went out, had a hell of a game. The rookie, Siciliani, I believe his name is, home run, then got injured, but he paid off his 2K price tag. Batista did well. A couple other guys. I think Coughlin had a good game. Goins, I can't remember if he did. But anyways, if you had a Toronto stack with Stroman, no reason you didn't cash in that main, especially with the later games. So, awesome job, guys. He always had a lot of energy. Who are we looking at today? So we have the lineup. Obviously, Pilar is still suspended. He'll serve the last of his 2-game suspension today. Aaron Sanchez is a guy that is not a bad pitcher at all. He's having a down year relative to where he was. Obviously, injuries played a part, so we'll see kind of where he's at. But this Baltimore team is jumping off the sheets. I really like them today. They have a nice implied total. Great matchup, Woba. Great hitters park. All over the home run sheet. So Baltimore, I think, is going to be a nice stack today. I'm looking at that for sure. Obviously, to jump off, Chris Davis. That dude is hot. So I don't know if there's a more streaky player in the league than Chris Davis. This dude has, I think, 4 or 5 home runs in the last week. And you ride that, man, because he's going to go through stretches where he doesn't have a home run for 3-4 weeks. And he's going to strike out. He's going to be hitting 180. That's what he does, but when he is on, he's on. And I see no reason to fade him if you are going to stack Baltimore. On this Toronto side, Justin Smoke got the day off yesterday. He's going to Camden, facing Chris Tillman, who hasn't given up a home run yet this year. But I think Justin Smoke is still hot. I am on this play. But, of course, you got to pick. You got to pick Smoke and Davis. Morales is heating up, too. You can look there. Dewey's right on with that as well. Joey Batista's obviously heating up as well. So I think there's a lot of good plays from this game. I don't know. I don't think I do a 4-man stack on either side. I'm really looking at 2-mans. I like Seth Smith if he plays, and Chris Davis, Adam Jones and Chris Davis, and then a Batista Morales or Batista Smoke stack. With that being said, I'm not really on either of the pitchers, especially not on a 14-game slate. I don't see the upside in either. Pittsburgh and Philly. Now, Pittsburgh has one of the higher implied totals on the slate as well. What the hell? Something just exploded outside my apartment. Water. Where are we looking, man? I'm intrigued. I think Jeremy Hellickson is not a terrible pitcher, but he does have a high fly ball rate. He's not striking out a lot of guys, and Pittsburgh is heating up a little bit. That lineup is in. The guy that jumps off the board to me, if you want a sub 3K first baseman, is Josh Bell. Mike was spot on with him the other day. Went out and hit that 3-run home run off Rourke. So I think you can look there again. He's hot. There's so many first base options today. So many. But Josh Bell's hot. I think he's in play. I don't know where else I would stack realistically. If you're going to play Sale, you're going to need some punt options. So, Jordy Mercer is not bad down at shortstop. David Freese is mad cheap as a third baseman. I know he's definitely a lefty guy. He kills lefties, but it's so tough because most of the bats here are on first base. Yeah, dude, exactly. Jose Ozuna is mad cheap. Jordy Mercer, Danny Ortiz. I mean, all these guys are super cheap on FanDuel. So, you take the fact that this team has a high implied run total. Maybe you fit some of these cheaper bats with Sale today. I think you're gonna have to find cheap bats somewhere. And a Pittsburgh stack is really. I mean, the most expensive player is Andrew McCutchen at 3.2. So you might want to jump on them while they're getting hot before the prices indicate that. On the Philly side, going against Trevor Williams, who still fly ball pitcher. This is a pitcher's park though, so there is that to take into consideration. But Philly's not far behind with Pittsburgh in these implied runs. Trevor's given up home runs this year, not striking out a ton of guys either. So, Altier, someone I still think is in play. His price has dropped a little bit. Tommy Joseph is still hot. Freddie Galvis I can still look at. So I think there's a potential stack to be made on Philadelphia as well. They are cheap for a reason. No, don't say that, Andrew. Roto's on Alex Wood. Damn it. Might see me not on Alex Wood anymore. That kind of upsets me. Colorado and Cincinnati. Definitely a hitter's park here as well. So, if you play Colorado bats in a hitter's park in Coors, I think no reason not to look at them today. Against Luis Alberto Bonilla, I think is what his name is. He's only made, I believe, 1 or 2 starts this year. 40% fly ball rate, falling in line with the career numbers. I'm going to guess he had a couple relief starts last year, or spot starts, I should say. So, immediately Charlie Blackmon, Arenado, Carlos Gonzalez is cheap at $2,900. Ian Desmond, $3,500, a little too much for what I want to pay. Tony Walters is a punt option at catcher at $2,300, so you look there. On the Cincinnati side against Tyler Anderson, I think you got to look at Duvall immediately. Joey Votto is still in play even versus a lefty, and Zach Cozart, man, versus lefty. Stacking the Phillies if you hate money. Man, okay, so Roto is on Wood, Sale, and Karns today. Interesting. Have no fear. Josh Dewey. Josh Dewey and I were talking earlier, and we found a potential pitching gem. So, well, he did. He put me on him. I wasn't even looking there, so we'll get there for you. New York and Tampa. I know Severino is also being talked up today. High K percentage against a Rays team that strikes out a lot. A GPP play for sure today is Erasmo Ramirez. Theo is all over this guy. We know the Yankees can strike out a little bit, and it's not a huge implied total for the Yankees. I'd expect it to be a little higher versus this guy, but the fact that it's not kind of puts me on him. There's a little bit of strikeout potential there, 20%. We saw what Danny Duffy did. He came alive yesterday. I'm not saying that, Erasmo Ramirez is Danny Duffy in any way, but you can look here. I think there is a little bit of GPP potential today with this guy. He's cheap. And I'm really actually interested in some of these Tampa Bay lefties versus Severino, especially if he's going to be some chalk. We know he has potential to get blown up. We know Corey Dickerson is mad hot. Logan Morrison, obviously batting cleanup. Colby Rasmus and Tim Beckham. I think your usual 4 for Tampa Bay are in play. Also, Evan Longoria deserves a mention if you want to look there. Steven Souza's kind of cooled off a little bit, but for what it's worth, Severino does give up more home runs to righties than lefties. I agree, Keith. I shouldn't compare Danny Duffy to the great Erasmo Ramirez. Texas and Detroit. Whoa, this is way blown up. So Texas and Detroit. Daniel Norris, not been amazing this year, giving up a ton of hard contact. I think Texas, you can find a Texas stack here. And then Nick Martinez, man, this guy's bad. No strikeout potential here. I'm with you, Tone. Corey Dickerson, that's the guy. Looking at right there, leading off. Especially if you're in that arcade mode on DK, you want to target guys that are, in my opinion, high in the lineup. So for Detroit, I really like the way this lineup is shaping out. Tyler Collins is cheap if you want to pair him with Sale. JD Martinez's price has skyrocketed, but I was looking there. So Collins and Martinez 2-man. You can look at Justin Upton as well. and then Ian Kinsler leading off. So I kind of like this 1 through 5. Avila is really, really expensive for me to pay $3K for him as a catcher. I don't think I want to do that. No, and on the flip, Jonathan Lucroy is $3K. So I think to me, I pay for Lucroy, who's been hot, facing the lefty. It's kind of where I go, man. Doesn't Tampa Bay usually blow up chalk righties? Yeah, we've seen Tampa blow up so many chalk pitchers already. And these lefty bats, again, there's gonna be one of two things happen. Severino is gonna go out and strike out 12 Rays, or he's gonna give up 12 home runs. That's all this team does. They are, the AL Brewers. So Lucroy is someone I'm looking at. I like Elvis Andrus as well today. I know he's not a huge home run threat, but I like him in front of Lucroy. And then Napoli, batting sixth. I look there. I'm not really looking at the lefties on Texas. So Gallo, Odor, and Chu, I'm not really looking at those guys. I think their power is kind of neutralized when they face a lefty. LA and New York. Now, if you're looking for a pivot off of Chris Sale today with very similar K upside, Jacob DeGrom. Versus this current lineup, he's absolutely owned them. I believe they have like a 140 batting average against him in 40 plate appearances. So, Jacob DeGrom is someone you can 100% look at today. Amazing K percentage, almost 33% on the year. He has given up a couple more home runs than he's used to. But I still like DeGrom. The only guy that worries me on this lineup is Mike Trout. No Albert Pujols going to an NL park. So Luis Valbuena will slide in and play first base, I believe. No, he'll play third base, and CJ Cron will play first, I believe. So, I mean, Trout and Valbuena may be the two guys that even pose somewhat of a threat to me. Somewhat. So Jacob DeGrom is in line for a very nice play. He's, I believe, almost 2K cheaper than Chris Sale, or maybe a little more, on FanDuel. So I think I look at DeGrom today. The only concern is run support. Is this Mets lineup going to score runs? We know that they either explode or they don't. I haven't heard them being talked up as chalk, so usually they do good when they're not. So I think you can look there today in far of pitching. In terms of stacking against Nolasco, it's a guy you can definitely target. Conforto, we know what he's been doing. Jay Bruce, Curtis Granderson, Lucas Duda. There's a stack to be made here. And something that's going to be interesting to watch is I really want to see kind of how the Chris Sale ownership shapes out today. We know he's the best pitcher on the slate, highest upside of anyone. But if he's chalk, which I assume he will be, you're not going to have high-priced chalk bats. You're just not going to be able to fit them. So, Roto wrote up every pitcher but didn't write up DeGrom. That is very interesting. I think they're trying to keep him off DeGrom for a reason. So, I'm telling you, I think it's a perfect pivot if you want to, still find that high upside guy. But he saves you a little bit of cap. So, but yeah, I think these Mets bats are going to be lower owned because you can't pay up for bats if you play Sale. Washington, Atlanta. Washington has the highest implied total on the slate. We know what these lefty bats have done in Atlanta already this year. So, where are we looking? I think Daniel Murphy, Bryce Harper automatically come to mind. I know Bryce has had 2 offers in a row. He's under 5K now. Are people going to pay for him? I think you're not going to see a lot of Bryce today. Not if Sale is your pitcher. I just don't see how you afford both and get kind of the bats around him. Some people might try and do it. You'll probably see 10 to 15% ownership still, but be interested to see that. Daniel Murphy is a guy I think that won't be high owned at all today. I think a lot of people are going to punt second base. It's a position, that and catcher are kind of the two I often see punted. So Murphy I think is in line. Jason Worth is mad chalk today. He is being talked up on every single site because of the ownership he has versus Dickey. We looked at this play actually last time these two teams played, but Worth got injured the day before and didn't play in that game. So Um, Definitely going to be chalk. So watch that. I think if you want to avoid Jason Worth chalk, because again, BVP is important, and it's probably BVP is the last thing I look at, but it's the most important thing, or it's most important versus knuckleballers, because you either hit them or you don't. I really don't think there is an in between. Now you can connect, obviously, but Bryce Harper has bad BVP versus Dickey, so that could drive his ownership down. I know a lot of people put stock into BVP as like an end all. I don't, but again, I think it's important for looking at knuckleballers. Jason Worth obviously has owned him. So another guy that's interesting without Freeman in the lineup is Gio Gonzalez. So he's pitched well into games. I know it's in a hitter's park, but other than Matt Kemp, I don't know that too many guys worry me. Dansby Swanson's heating up a little bit, but Gio could be an interesting play today. I don't know if I go there on a 14-game slate for limited upside. If you're playing the main, I don't know if I go there. Well, actually, he's only on the main, so not my favorite play, but he does score pretty well. Kevin asks, why do the charts go dark? Yeah, the Nationals do have the highest run total on the slate. Rendon, yeah, you could look at Rendon as well, batting sixth. He's a little expensive for where I want to go, but I think I'd rather play Longo than Rendon today. Kevin asked, why did the charts go dark? So this is all the stats. As the pro members, starting next week, we're going to do a show just for the Slack members, and that will be when the stats are revealed. Right now, it's more of a kind of an introductory podcast from the standpoint of we got feedback that a lot of people were just pausing the show and building lineups, and so there was no incentive. Cleveland and Houston. This game, Charlie Morton, I think, is a guy that's going to go underlooked today. I haven't heard his name much, and he's pitched really, really well. We talk about the elite combination of ground ball and strikeout potential, and for whatever reason, Charlie Morton has superiorly increased his strikeouts this year. He's right in line with his ground ball percentage, so yeah, low for Harper. He's right in line with his ground ball percentage, so he's really just increased his strikeouts, and I think there's a lot to like about that. I think you can look at playing him. I think there's some upside here versus this Cleveland team. On the Express slate alone, I think he'll be probably the best pitcher. But if you're looking at him on the main, what's his? Let me make sure I have his price locked down, so I know. Charlie Morton is 8.3 on FanDuel. So some guys that are close to him are Aaron Sanchez at 8.2, Nate Karns at 8.2, Chris Tillman at 8.2. Little guys more expensive. Obviously, Gio is 8.9, the same price as Alex Wood. So again, here's this. Alex Wood and Gio Gonzalez, same price. I see a ton more potential in Alex Wood for strikeouts versus this Miami team than I do Gio, so that decision is easy for me. Quintana against Seattle, I'm not going to go there. Waka against San Fran is interesting, but I know there's weather concerns there. So, as far as attacking Trevor Bauer, this dude's been giving up some home runs this year, some fly balls. I think you can look at Reddick in the 2-hole. I look at Carlos Beltran, Brian McCann. So I love the lefties on Houston. I think George Springer is still in play, Carlos Correa, but they're expensive, man. I think I look at the cheaper lefties in Reddick, McCann, and Beltran and be happy. Kansas City and Minnesota. So Nate Karns has been talked up a lot, as we mentioned. And high strikeout potential. This Minnesota team can strike out very easily. And, maybe Nate Karns is putting it together this year. So we were looking, at the beginning of the year, and this guy was fighting for a roster spot. And all of a sudden, he got it, and now he is just running away with it. I don't think there's any concern about him being in that rotation the rest of the year. Unless something drastic happens, but he's kind of locked his place in there. arguably the best strikeout pitcher on their team at this point, with Duffy kind of falling off a little bit in terms of the strikeouts. So I think he had 12 Ks last time. The one thing that does worry me is Minnesota has a higher implied run total than Kansas City. I know it's not much, but is Karns going to get enough run support to get the win? That's what worries me. Because on a slate like this, I think you need a win. I think you need a win from your pitcher if you want to compete. Especially because you can almost guarantee Sale in as a win, quality start, and probably at least 8 strikeouts. So, you're looking at a ton of points already that you need to reach. And is Karns going to get that win today? I can't confidently say that. I really can't. Keith likes Merrifield and Soler. And you know what? I was going to get to Merrifield, Keith. You talk about punting second base. Merrifield, I know, is not the cheapest at $2,600, but absolutely in play. The one thing he does hit well is lefties, and this park plays really, really well to righties. Much better to righties than it does lefties. So definitely look at Whit Merrifield. And Soler is still cheap as well, as his mentioned. As mentioned. So Soler and Merrifield are definitely in play. Lorenzo Cain as well also hits lefties great over the last couple years. So I think you can look at a potential mini stack here. I don't like Hector Santiago. I think he gives up a ton of fly ball. He just got killed by Cleveland. So I think some Kansas City bats are in play. But again, yeah. If you're going to stack the Kansas City bats, you're banking on them scoring runs. I think you can pair them with Karns if you're confident. If you're not going to stack KC, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if you're extremely confident that Karns gets the win, and I think you probably fade him. I'm not going to really stack against him either on the Minnesota side. San Fran and St. Louis. Yeah, Santiago gives up some home. That's what. Yeah, exactly. Let me get the updated weather on this game because I do know it looks like there's some storms passing through, which is going to upset me because that means they're going to come close to me in Sacramento. For what it's worth, also some rain concern in Colorado and Cincy. It looks like it's more of a delay threat than a postpone. Rain cools down or calms down as the game goes on. And where's the Giants game at? No, we do not have Giants. We do not have rain concern here anymore. Looks like it's no longer in play, so no worry there. A team that has been rising in the implied total is San Francisco, so watch out for them. I know that they are still lower than St. Louis. Both these teams actually have climbed. If we look back at this the weather sheet, so San Fran started at 3.41 and is up to 3.86. St. Louis started at 4.09 and up to 4.64. So the run line has increased a whole run already. So it went from 7.5 to 8.5 since the day opened. So something to watch for. The one thing Michael Wacha has given up a little more than previous years is the fly ball. I think you can look at some Brandon Belt, some Christian Arroyo is a cheap play. And Joe Panic as a cheap second baseman as well. If all three of those guys play, Keith, our weatherman, is giving a Cincy update in Slack as we speak. So I'm interested in some of these San Francisco bats today. I am. I think there's a stack that could potentially be made. And on the St. Louis side, I love Jed Gorko. He's expensive at $3,600 though. Ledmus Diaz is a cheaper option at shortstop. Randall Grichuk against the lefty, $2,600. I think he could be a play today in that outfield. And then Tommy Pham. So there's definitely a game stack to be made here. Matt Moore has pitched terrible so far this year. High fly ball, high home run per 9, high hard contact. There's not a lot to like about Matt Moore today. I know he did pitch well last time out, but the fact that the St. Louis line is increasing, there's a case to be made about a St. Louis stack today. And it's not an AT&T, so he doesn't have that safety. Boston, Oakland. All right, the man of the hour, Chris Sale. He's striking out almost 40% of his batters this year. 40%. 4 out of every 10 batters he faces, he strikes out. You realize how hard that is to do? 4 out of 10 batters he faces, he strikes out. That's ridiculous. The dude is having an unreal year. If he's as close to a lock as there is. I mean, who's Clayton Kershaw anymore? This dude, and the reason he will, the only concern there ever is on Chris Sale is his fly ball rate. He gives up fly balls when he gets out, but do they go out of the park? That's the thing, and he strikes out so many batters that if he gives up a home run or two, he can get those points back so quickly. Dave. Alex Avila Day. You know what, Charlie? I'm on Lucroy over Avila, man. They're the same price on FanDuel. I can't justify playing Alex Avila over Jonathan Lucroy against the lefty. So I think you can feel very confident in playing Chris Sale and finding the rest of your plays. I think this is a day where you put Chris Sale in and you call it a day. You then find your bats. You find your bat. You know, we talk about slate dependent. Do you find bats first, then pitcher? I think today you just find the pitcher and get the pitcher and go from there. And Oakland's implied total is under 3 right now. That's really hard to do. There's actually one other game on the slate that has that as well, so it's interesting. But Oakland's implied total 2.91 right now. Not very good. The one guy that I believe Adam Rosales has 3 career home runs off of Chris Sale, so something to look at. Cheap second baseman down at the bottom of that order. And then I don't think I really want to stack Boston today either, so I think I play Chris Sale and move on from this game. Miami, Los Angeles. Miami has an even lower implied total than Oakland. So Alex Wood, again, he's striking out 33% of his bats, 1 out of 3 guys. Definitely in play. And I was all over him, and now I'm hearing he's kind of chalk. I still might play him. I still might play him. He's electric this year, man. Electric. Am I drinking alcohol? No. I'm drinking some coffee, man. Some bean soup. I need some energy. I've been up since 5 a.m. this morning. Adding additions to the sheets. We're working on even more. There'll be another show in 2 weeks or so about explaining the sheets because we're already adding more to it. We're adding some StatCast things in, exit velocity, and we're going to work those into projections as well, so that'll be fun. Working with the great mind of Jeremy George. I'm stacking Oakland in arcade mode. So Alex Wood was the guy I was looking at to go down to from DeGrom, but the fact that DeGrom is not being talked up and Alex Wood is, I might go DeGrom instead and just find a couple cheaper bats because the price difference I believe is like $1,500. It's not terrible. I can make that happen. But there's not a lot to like on this Miami side at all. Stanton and Ozuna are the 2 guys that worry me. No one else is of concern to me. And I know some people are like, oh, I'm going to play Justin Nicolino against Los Angeles. Don't do it. He may have a decent game, but I don't think it's enough that's going to win you any money. I don't think, Los Angeles is not good versus lefties, but they've gotten a little better. And for what it's worth, I don't see Nicolino having the amazing performance that you need from a guy to win you a GPP if you're playing that. And if you're playing cash, he's not going to get you to sale. So on the fact that you just need points alone, I don't think you play him today. Not saying he's a bad play and not saying he might not have a good game. I don't think he's a DFS play today. Don't use Alex Gordon. Don't ever use Victor Martinez. I believe Victor's not in the lineup today. So Arizona and San Diego. Arizona bats are being talked up a lot today. I think I'm going to fade him, man. Jared Weaver, he's not a great player at all, but he's in a pitcher's park, and he's done a good job of limiting damage. He hasn't pitched great at all, but he's done a good job of limiting damage this year. So I don't like these Arizona bats enough to pay for their prices. So for that reason alone, I'm going to fade these Arizona bats today. However, the guy to look at today the guy to look at today is Taijuan Walker. Shout out to Josh Dewey for this as well. Put me on him. Did a little bit of research. San Diego strikes out a ton. Let me get you their numbers versus righties. So, San Diego, 25% strikeout over the last 14 days versus righties. Overall, they are striking out at a clip of 23%, 153 ISO. So, I see no reason to be afraid of this San Diego lineup, and Taijuan Walker has the safe parameters of Petco Park. So his fly ball percentage is not too worrisome, and to his credit, he has dropped that fly ball percentage a ton this year. So almost down 5%. If you need another pitcher that's cheap, look at Taijuan Walker. I know he's not, mad cheap, but he's cheap enough. So yeah, Walker, man. Look at Taijuan Walker today, guys. There's some strikeout upside. We've seen Dylan Covey went out and just absolutely destroyed the Padres. Dylan Covey went out and I think got 8 strikeouts. Taijuan Walker is perfectly capable. He's a cheap pitcher, cheapish. He's half the price of Chris Sale, so I think you can look there, guys. I definitely think you can look there. And then, like I said, I'm not stacking Arizona, but I don't hate you if you do. I'm just not going to go there. David Peralta is mad cheap on FanDuel, 2,700. So you can look there if you want to stack. I think he's a one-off play. And finally, Chicago and Seattle. I'm really mad at Seattle manager last night, man. They took out Gaviglio. He only had 75 pitches through 5. They took him out. Didn't get his quality start. The bullpen blew his win. Cost me from cashing in the main. I was mad as could be because Ryu got that win. But whatever. We're on to a new day. Peralta is playing. That lineup's out. So Chicago and Seattle. Jose Quintana. And you guys all know that Nelson Cruz kills lefties. So I think you can look at a mini. I look at it's not cheap at all. But Gene Segura, Taylor Motter, Nelson Cruz, and Danny Valencia are the guys I'm looking at on the Seattle side versus Quintana. He's given up a ton of fly balls this year. Giving up more home runs than he's average. So I'm looking there. These guys have power to hit it out the park. Segura's been a surprise this year. His power is kind of surprising people. And even if he does, he gets on and, Taylor Motter, Nelson Cruz right behind him. So I'm definitely looking at those guys. And then Ariel Miranda. This is a something's got to give matchup here. Gives up a ton of home runs to righties. A ton. 53% fly ball rate. So Todd Frazier, automatically. I like Tim Anderson for a cheaper play. Saladino, cheaper play. Matt Davidson, cheap first baseman, third base on DraftKings. So I don't love the Chicago lineup, but I don't like Ariel Miranda at all. So something's got to give there, and I think you can see some potential in some Chicago bats today. Tim Beckham and Brandon Crawford are my shortstops. Yeah, buddy. Yo, what's up, Chris? Yeah, well, Andrew, the Seattle bullpen has been bad all year. I give Theo shit all the time for it because they've been so bad. Me and him were talking last night after the show, right? We did that Sheets Explain show, and we're sitting on Skype, and I see them take out Gaviglio, and he's like, God damn it, there goes that win. He already knew it. It was the sixth inning. Sorry, he was out of the game, and Theo already knew that the game was that Gaviglio was gonna lose his win because of that Seattle bullpen. There's no good bullpen pitchers on that team at all. The whole entire bullpen is trash. Can't believe I like Saladino. Keith, I don't know why. I don't know what you got against Saladino, my friend. I like him. I do. He's gonna stay cheap all year, and for his price, he has the upside to pay it off. By the way, that Sheets Explained show was awesome. Thank you, sir. Glad it could help. If you guys haven't checked that out and you are having trouble with the sheets and how to use them, check that show out. Me, Jeremy, and Theo, we call him Baby Ichiro because he kind of looks like him and he's a Mariners fan. Break down not only how to use the sheets, how we build our lineups using them, and what each of the tabs mean, and kind of a general overview. Also, we added a stat today to the pitchers tab if you guys have access to it. And it's the percent change from base to the base opponent run tab. And so that is something that is huge because what that tells you is the pitcher's base score. So we give him a base score based on his stats, and whether he goes up or down in regards to him facing the opponent and the Vegas run movement. So a positive change is obviously huge, and so looking at that is going to help you guys. Did we break down Sale? Yeah, just play Chris Sale. Just play Chris Sale. Manny Machado's in the lineup. All right. So look forward to Mike. He will be on the Facebook Live channel. That link is also down below the Facebook business page. Check that out. He will give you his thoughts before the slate locks today. He'll be on probably in about 45 minutes. As always, we'll be in Slack. If you guys are interested in join that link down below, man. We'll get you guys taken care of. That 7-day free trial, no risk. Cancel before your trial's up, and you don't pay a dime. But I think you'll enjoy it. That Slack group is always a blast. When baseball's not on, we're chopping it up. We're a giant family in there. So I love it. Love you guys. And thank you for tuning in again. Have a wonderful and profitable Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back Saturday. And you know what? I'm debating with school being out. I might throw in a Sunday morning show. We'll see. So we'll play it by ear. I'll let you guys know. And as always, have a wonderful day.